Hi everyone, I'm here with the tutorial for the cast on for the Tentacle Shawl's first tentacle. I'm going to be using size 6, US size 6 needles. That'd be 4.25 millimeters, circular. And we're going to be using worsted weight yarn. For the purposes of this tutorial, the yellow is the F side yarn and the orange is our B side yarn. Before we start, we're going to want to leave a nice long tail of each color, probably something like 2 feet, just to make sure that you have plenty of yarn to begin tentacle 2 with. Leaving all this extra yarn to start that tentacle with will let you knit a couple of stitches of tentacle 1 and then start tentacle 2 to make sure that the join between them looks correct, so that if you screw it up, you don't have to rip out a lot of work. For this cast on, we're going to be using the loop cast on method, which is just about the easiest cast on possible. Basically, it's just a big old series of hitches, modified slightly for the double knit style of this piece. So we're going to start with our B-side strand. Our cast on is going to begin and end with our B-side color. Simply loop it over your finger, twist it to create a loop. Put your needle through that loop, slip your finger out of it, and pull it about as tight as you would want a cast-on stitch to be. Then we're going to repeat that process with our F-side strand, Put it over your finger, turn it to create that loop, put your needle through that loop, and tighten it up a wee bit. Got our first 2 stitches on. For our second B-side stitch, I'm going to do pretty much the same as before. Make sure that you carry it over to in front of the F-side strand, to the front of the piece. Make that loop, put it on the needle, tighten it. And for our next F-side stitch, we're going to carry the strand behind the B strand and cast on in the same way as before. And we're going to continue in that manner until we have 31 stitches on the needle, keeping the B side strand to the front and the F strand to the back. So I'll continue demonstrating that. Taking our B strand to the front, make a loop, slip it on, F side, make a loop, slip it on. And I should note here that my talents lay mainly in knitting rather than in recording either audio or video presentations. So if you're in the process of making the tentacle shawl and you think it might be nice to have a somewhat more slick tutorial for it, and that it's within your capabilities to make one, please feel free to do so. The more tutorials, the merrier. As you can see, we now have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 stitches on. If it's going correctly at this stage, you should have all solid B-side color along the bottom of the front side. And if you flip it over and look at the back, you should have solid F-side right there along the bottom. There shouldn't be any twists or random strands poking through or any stray loops that got wrapped around the bottom. If you look at the bottom of the piece, you should see a B-side and an F-side sitting alongside each other with no crossovers or strands between them. Sitting there waiting to be picked up to create 2 neat, separate B and F-side colored sides of tentacle 2. So we're going to continue casting on. Now we have 31 stitches on the needle. It begins and ends with our B strands, of which we have 16 stitches alternating with 15 F-side stitches. Just like when we were starting out, we have a nice smooth row of the B-side color on the front. A nice smooth row of the F-side color to the back. And from the bottom, the two sitting alongside each other in their own neat separate rows. Now that we've got all the stitches cast on, we're ready to start knitting the first tentacle.